Welcome to another episode of Weekly Spark. I've already turned the camera around because I've been working on some other projects, and I ended up with a pile of rainbow colored scrap paper. And that has sparked, I just want to play with that on this page. I don't really have a plan. I'm going to start with some old book text because I love it so much, and that, it covers up the white of the page that sometimes is like boring. I have tape on the two edges because my book, I'm close to the end of this little 5x7 kind of sketchbook, and the pages are getting really fat, so it was hard to get them to lay flat. So I'll have those ends, maybe I can paint on or do something else. But I have a tendency to do things like this and just let this page collage right into the gutter of the page. And so that does sometimes bulk things up a little bit. But this is just matte medium, and I'm not even really being careful about getting it everywhere. I'm just kind of going for it. So I was actually cutting out rainbow swirls for a different project and had this piece that was like the whole negative shape of one. And that actually is what I saved at first because I thought it would be fun to play with negative space like this, kind of see-through, seeing the paper through. And then some of the swirls in other places. You know when I'm not talking that I'm really in the creative flow, because I kind of forget that the video camera is on, and I was just kind of grabbing paper, trimming things, gluing it down. So there's a lot of that in this video, and I will speed some segments up because I know you're with me. I know you understand what I'm doing. So these are all the scraps from the table. Some I might cut further up into different shapes, but some of them are already really cool shapes. The only thing I've added so far is the text in the background, but I always save my scraps. I have a drawer in a storage unit where I just put all the scraps of paper. Sometimes they're the best thing. Sometimes they're exactly what sparks an idea. This mulberry paper is nice because it's really thin. So sometimes if you want it, if the shape that's cut out isn't quite exactly right, you can kind of glue it down so it's a little bit wrinkled and make it conform to the space that you're working in. All right, now I'm going to need to cut something else. Using all my scraps, but I've used all the interesting shapes. I just have kind of straight lines now. So what colors do I want? Well, I don't have any blue. And yes, if you're familiar with the work of Henri Matisse, you can probably see some ideas and influence from him because I love his work. I love that kind of collage, drawing with scissors. But I also like just using some of the found shapes that you get as you're doing the cutting. I was cutting out a swirl, but the first thing I used was the background from the swirl. So it's kind of time to stop and think about it for a minute. Vertical, 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 vertical. So I've got these vertical bands that move across the page. So then I have negative space to positive space, which partners with that blue. And then I have a little bit of horizontal here and the horizontal across the bottoms. So I have a lot of verticals and some horizontals, but really only one kind of floating shape. So that's what I want another one of. I want at least one more floating shape. Probably here, because this torn paper is a little and a lighter color. So I don't have any more scraps of yellow, but I have plenty of scraps of lavender. All right, let's take a look. I mean, I guess the real spark here, the real idea is don't throw away your scraps. Yes, when my scrap drawer gets too full, when it won't close, then I will go through it and remove like the really crumpled up bits or the really, really small, hard to work with bits. That was a whole kind of page just from the scraps on my table. Very much a Henri Matisse style kind of thing. He does a lot of this with the negative space and then the shape coming out of it like it was kind of reversed. But, I mean, that was just kind of fun to do. I think that I might write some things on it. I've got these 2 strips on the end. I might just put, I mean, this might just be the perfect thing. I might just put washi tape on the ends. Another vertical, but why not? Not every page has to have the layers of meaning that I so often do in my my own pages. A lot of pages can really just be simple and fun. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that the scraps of paper definitely sparked something for me. And so there's a weekly spark that I wanted to share with you. Don't throw your scraps away. There's still all these scraps on the table that have potential that I'm going to put into my scrap container. And you might see these again in another spark. But for now, hopefully that gave you some ideas. And if you're collaging, you know, I did this with colored paper, but this could be scraps cut out of a magazine too. If you would cut out an image that you wanted to use in a collage and you had that background, that stuff would work really well for a freeform thing like this. So hopefully that sparked an idea for you, or sparked some ideas about the potential in what would otherwise be thrown away. Thanks for tuning in. As always, you know, hit the button, ring the bell, whatever you do on YouTube, but subscribe, leave a comment, and I would love to hear from you. All right, cool.